actually on our way to Knott's Berry Farm right now, and we just wanted to, have a little conversation about, our recovery and, how we got here. And me and her went to two completely different rehabs. She went to a more higher level rehab than I went to. I went to residential, and she went to the facility. And we just wanted to come here and talk to her about her experiences in rehab and stuff. So, how was your first day at rehab, love? How did that go for you? What were you thinking, and how did you feel when you first walked into there?
I said it was a facility. My facility had children in it. It was women and children. It's not that I don't like children. I'm just, a little off-put by it. You're detoxing, you're withdrawing. Honestly, all I can think of for my first thoughts is fear. We went to detox together, and then we separated, and that's 15 years of being together, and that's my first moment of really being alone. So I was really scared. That fear didn't ease up for a while either. What do you think? What was your initial thoughts?
Of course, when you left, like she said, we went to detox together. We just ended up in the same detox. It was not like planned. It just happened, But the moment that she left, because they picked her up first, we left the same day. I was just like, okay, now I'm by myself. Now I'm alone. I basically have to do this on my own. We've done everything together for the last 15 years, and I felt like by myself, alone. And I was terrified. I was so scared. And when I pulled up to my rehab, I was like, this is a house. I'm going to be living in a house. I'm going to rehab in a house. Like, this is weird. Like, I thought I was going to go to some like hospital type thing. When you think of rehab, you think of something completely different, and I walked into a house, and there was 4 other girls there. They were nice girls. I had no problem with any of them, but I'm not very social. I'm not. I don't make friends very easily. You know what I mean? I've been called weird my whole life. So it was kind of difficult for me. My wife has always been there for me to help me. Socialize a little bit and made it easier for me. So but I still was scared. Like, I didn't know what was gonna happen. I didn't know where this was gonna go, or if I was even gonna stay, because I wasn't. I was ready for sure. Like, a 1,000,000% I was ready. But I just didn't. I was scared of the unknown. I was scared of what was gonna happen, and again, like, I was thinking, I was walking into some facility and I'm in a house, and I was thinking, like, is this actually gonna work for me? But it ended up being a good place. There was a couple good people there. My counselor, I really didn't like my personal counselor, but there was other counselors there that were actually that I talked to, and I think from my experience there, it was good. It was good. Who was it had the biggest impact on you for your stay there?
The thing with addiction is that even though we were doing the same drugs, we were in the same house, we were in a relationship, we were at 2 very different levels of addiction, and at 2 very different mindsets. So I had a mental breakdown literally like 2 months before we got clean. And when I say mental breakdown, I mean as I was hearing things, I was seeing things. I have crystal blue eyes, my eyes have been blackened. I completely lost touch with reality. So I think that's why we went to different level facilities. One of the reasons. But I also was, way further in the addiction of opiates. It was way worse for me. So with the facility, it was more about therapy for me than anything. I had counselors, I had that, but my biggest impact for sure was my therapist. Is Miss Virginia. She's an older lady, a lot older of a lady, but I'm sometimes difficult to connect with, to explain things to make things, they've said I may have autism. interacted with me in a way that I understood things. She would get tough when she had to get tough, and what I liked about her is that she didn't pick sides with me or you. You know, at the end of the day, me and Christina both did a lot of bad things to each other. Keeping tallies really doesn't matter because we still ended up where we ended up. She didn't take my side, she didn't take your side. It was never pinning you against me or me against you, because at the end of the day, it didn't matter. I can keep track all day long. It doesn't matter. We still ended up there, and if I keep keeping tally, then we're not moving forward anymore. And she just had these key phrases, you know, things I still repeat to this day. Acceptance is the key to all my problems. That's a mantra. That's every day, all day. I say it all day.
All my problems, yeah.
I say it every day, all day, you know, and she used to say it to me, you know, because I'd get so mad. Acceptance is the key to all my problems, and then I'd get mad at her for it. But now I say it every day, and then if you're not changing it, you're choosing it.
Yep, I like that one too. If you're not changing it, you're choosing it. I like that one too.
It's all true. They sound cheeseball, you know, but it's all very true. So for me, it was the therapist that was the biggest change. That's who got through to me. You know, I got comfortable enough to her to talk about. Obviously, you have insecurities within yourself, within your relationship, within life. You know, I wasn't an addict. I still wasn't an addict. Even walking into rehab, that's the kind of addict I was. That I wasn't one, and that I was a pill popper. So I was too good to admit that I was a drug addict, and that I'm different than everybody. And they really had to break through to me. You know,
just because you have your life together, you have a job, you have a house, you have a car. None of that matters. At the end of the day, if you're putting that substance before paying your bills or doing that, then you have a problem. There's something going on. You know what I mean? And I think because we did somewhat hold up a certain life, you know what I mean? Like you said, we had jobs, we had car, we paid our rent, sometimes late, but it was paid nonetheless. You know what I mean? But I think that's what was kind of our mindset, though, is that I'm not on the streets, I'm not shooting up, I'm not doing these things, I'm not an addict, you know. I remember that the first time that I told Stacey, oh, you're having withdrawals. She said, I'm not having withdrawals, I'm not no effing addict. That's what she said.
Oh yeah.
And she got like offended, and I was just like, well, you know, that's what was going on. She was, you know, she was dope sick, you know, but that was in the very beginning of our addiction, and she didn't want to hear it, you know. To the very last day, it was like, you know, I can continue doing this, and I gotta hold on it. And at that point, I think we both knew deep down that we no longer had a hold on it, that our life was crumbling, you know. We hadn't paid rent in a couple months, really. I had lost my job. She was on her way of losing her job. At that point, there was no longer keeping it together. We had officially hit rock bottom. Actually, we found out rock bottom had a fucking basement. But that's really where we were at that point. And we had to realize that, you know, that we no longer could live this life anymore. You know, especially after I had relapsed on crystal meth. That was kind of it, you know. And it was...
It's a whole other ball.
That, you know, once that got back in the game, that was it. You know, my wife stopped trusting me. I was a liar. I did things that I never thought I would do to my wife, and I just didn't I didn't care anymore. You know, but the only thing I thought about was that next high and how I was going to do it. Even if I had to sneak around behind my wife's back, I was going to do it. You know what I mean? And, you know, eventually when you bring another substance into a already addictive house, one's going to get curious, of course. And, you know, that's what happened. And unfortunately, you know, our lives just became, you know, just chaotic. And, you know, we both were being sneaky. We both were being liars. We both were nice to each other. And, you know, today I trust my wife with everything inside me. I love my wife. I always loved my wife. That never stopped. You know what I mean? And I knew at that point I wanted to be a better person for her, for myself, for my family, And I know, you have to want to get better for yourself. You can't get better for your family, your kids, or anybody. You have to get better for you because you want to do it, because you want to be a better person. You can't do it for anybody else, or it's not going to work. You have to do it for you. And that's what I learned, is that I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing it for my wife. I'm not doing it for my family or any of that. I'm doing it for her. I mean, for myself. You know what I mean? And yeah. What do you think?
It's true. I think I may have taken the first leap. I adore Christina. That's my dream girl. I met her at 16, and I told her then I was going to marry her. She told me I was crazy. I wasn't crazy.
Here I am, 15 years later.
So I mean, for me, I was a blinders kind of addict. I'm a blinders kind of addict. I have to watch that to this day of like everything's fine, it's good, and we're cool, and nothing's wrong. And I'm blinders, and I had a lot of fear. I lived in fear every single day of my life, and fear consumed me. I didn't want to do it, So I do think that I made that first leap because of her. It got to where I was living in the trap house. She was gone. I was living in the trap house. That's where our bottom led us to. And there was no other choice. And I think that's the way it had to happen. But then once once there was a little flicker of an ember for me, I poured gasoline all over it. Once I got to rehab and I understood, this is how you get back to normal life. This is how you get what you want. If what you want is her, if what you want is to live a normal life, if what you want are these cars, houses, and a family and all these things, this is how you're going to do it. You can no longer live the way you're living. The way you're living is wrong. It took a lot for me to admit it. It took a lot of, it's an ego hit. It's embarrassing. It's shameful, like none of us that end up there, are proud of it. Like, you don't mean to do it, but it's not, there's a way to fix it. And that's the way.
Yeah.
I just went on the freeway.
Yeah, no, you have to make that first step, you know what I mean? It's scary and it's hard, but, you have to do it, Yeah, but I think rehab really did save both our lives, and, the NA meetings helped a lot too. I learned a lot from the NA meetings, but soon here we'll come back on here and basically tell our story and let you guys know how we got there, where it began, how it began, and like I said, now we found an outlet, and riding roller coasters and going to theme parks and just finding that thrill, that adrenaline in another way, and I needed something else to give me that rush, you know what I mean? And we found it. Yeah, we found it. So keep watching, subscribe so you can hear our story and how recovery is possible.
The real nitty gritty,
the deep down, and how we really got the true dark story of our addiction. Thank you guys. Hopefully you guys subscribe and do all that good stuff.
Thrills not pills.
Thrills not pills, guys. Thank you.